Hello, good day to one and all. This is Miss A. Krishna Sundar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KAHM Unity Women's College, Manjeri. Today we are going to discuss Unit 6 from the text Writing for Academic and Professional Success. Now, Unit 6 is titled as Mechanics and Conventions of Writing. So, here we start with Part 1 of Unit 6. So, before we step into the real topic, let us analyze what this Unit 6 is all about. Now, Unit 6 is all about the mechanics or rules involved with writing. Now, when you talk about the term writing, please understand the writing mentioned here is not a casual kind of writing. We write letters to our friends. We type chat messages to our cousins. We communicate with our relatives. We communicate in our old school group. So, this kind of a casual communication is not what we are discussing here right now. We are talking about official communication. For example, if you are planning to write a letter to the principal of your college, that becomes an official communication. If you have to submit an assignment which is given to you by the teacher, or sometimes if you are asked to submit the project report or a seminar report that you have done, all these will come under the category of academic writing or official writing. So today we are going to analyze what are the necessary elements required when you write something in an academic platform. Now the first and foremost thing is punctuation. Then comes style guide. Now style guide means a set of rules regarding the writing part. Then comes proofreading, and finally academic integrity. So these are some of the important elements that you have to understand before taking up an official assignment or a project work. So let's start with punctuation now. I'm sure that this word does not require any kind of introduction because punctuation can be a topic which might have been in your discussion definitely during your school days. I'm sure many of your English teachers might have taught you about punctuation. So, punctuation is an important element of writing. Now, without punctuation, writing can never be completely successful because writing is very much different from speaking. With punctuation, you can actually express the meaning intended. Now, there is a lot of difference between speaking and writing because when you speak, your eye contact is there, the expression on your face is there, your body language comes in between, the gestures. So, everything combined together will give the correct idea to the opposite party. But when you write something, always remember that you are physically absent in that situation. It is just your writing that is reaching another person. In that case, your writing has to be perfect. And this kind of a perfection can be attained only with the right use of punctuation. So, the entire meaning of the constructed sentences will depend on the punctuation marks which are used. So, punctuation marks can be considered as the traffic signals of language. They tell us to slow down, to notice something, to take a detour, to stop, to give emphasis. So, a lot of things can be made available to another party even in your physical absence with the aid of punctuation. So, to understand its importance, I'm just taking you through a couple of examples. Now, look at the first one. Let's eat, comma, grandpa. So, that's a very clear message. You are asking your grandpa to come and eat. Now, look at the next one. Let's eat, grandpa. You are missing the comma, and look how it reads. Let's eat, grandpa. The entire meaning changes. This means that you are going to eat grandpa. So, the total meaning is changed. Look at the second one, slow, comma, kids at play, which means maybe sometimes you are driving and You would be telling another person who's driving probably, please slow down, because kids are there at play. So there is a comma after slow. But look at the next sentence, slow kids at play, which means the kids who are playing are very slow, slow kids, very slow kind of kids. So the entire meaning is changed. Now look at the next one. This is rather more hilarious. Kill him not, comma, let him free, which means please do not kill him, leave him. Now look at the next one. Kill him, not let him free. So here the difference is there is a comma which is used in both the sentences. But in the first sentence, it is used after not, whereas in the second sentence, it is used after him. So it is just a one step change in punctuation, but look at the meaning difference. In the first one, kill him not, let him free. Please spare his life. Now look at the second one, kill him, not let him free means you have to kill him. Now the first one tells not to kill a person and the second one tells to kill a person. So see, one single comma can actually bring the difference between life and death. Now look at the next one. A woman without her man is nothing, which means a man is everything for a woman. She cannot live without a man. Now, look at the same sentence when we use it with a different punctuation style. A woman, without her, man is nothing. So here the importance is given to the woman, whereas in the first sentence, the importance is given to the man. So see, certain marks or certain symbols can create a total meaning change. So let us look into some more examples. Black baby pram for sale. So black baby pram for sale, the first sentence will indicate that it belongs to a black baby, a baby whose color is black. But look at the second one, black baby pram for sale, which means the baby pram is black in color. Now look at the next sentence, quiet birds have ears, which means quiet birds are having ears. Look at the next one, quiet birds have ears, which means you have to be quiet because even birds have got ears. So there is a total change in meaning. Toilet only for disabled, pregnant and children. So it looks like disabled pregnant or maybe pregnant children. So it doesn't make any sense. But look at the next sentence, toilet only for disabled, pregnant and children. So it conveys the correct kind of meaning. Now the next one is unable to eat diarrhea. So this is rather more funny. Unable to eat diarrhea, but say the next one, unable to eat. And the reason is you are suffering from diarrhea. So see how one punctuation mark can create a lot of difference in the way in which you are communicating. Now look at the next example. It's a CV and you are mentioning the different hobbies and interests that you have got. So see, cooking, dogs, shopping, dancing, reading, watching movies. So all these are different things that you are interested in. But imagine if you fail to put a comma after cooking, it becomes totally different. Cooking dogs. So maybe this one single sentence can oust you out of the entire interview process. So just one single punctuation mark can create a lot of difference. So now moving on to the different punctuation marks. There are 12 different punctuation marks mentioned in your textbook. So I have mentioned each of these along with the symbols used. So the first one or the most important one, as you can see, is a comma. Then comes semicolon. Then comes colon. Now please don't get confused because semicolon and colon, there are lots of students who are always getting confused with these two punctuation marks. So that is why I have included the symbol. So please keep this symbol in your mind. Then comes double quotation mark, single quotation mark, apostrophe, parenthesis, which is actually a curved bracket, then comes brackets, which is actually square in nature, dash, hyphen, period. Now period is again the same as a full stop, and finally capitalization. So today we are going to discuss the initial segments in punctuation. So let us start with comma. So before I start, I would like to tell you something. Now, studying about punctuations, this cannot be a very interesting kind of thing. Now, this could be something which you might have shut down in your early school days, but unfortunately, this is coming back again in the form of your general English text. So if you look at this, if you look at the textbook, it might not look very appealing to learn the different strategies or the different situations in which a comma is used. So what I have done here is I have separated it into different points. So each of the points will tell you when it is used along with an example. So the point is done in a gray bar and the example is given in a green bar. So I have done it in such a way to make you remember this, to store this in your brain. So what are the situations in which a comma is used? Now, there are 6 situations mentioned in your textbook, but please remember, language is a complex kind of system. You just cannot confine it to certain rules and regulations because there are sentences, there are constructions which can go beyond all these rules. So please understand that point first. So here in your textbook, there are 6 situations which had been listed out for the conditions or maybe the situations where we use comma. So the very first one is we use a comma after an introductory word. So here the example to begin with, so that is an introductory part. To begin with, comma, let me introduce you with the topic punctuation marks. So whenever an introductory term or a word is given, soon after that you make use of a comma. Now the second situation is when you are listing nouns in a sentence. Fruits like papaya, guava, cherry and mango are tasty. So you are listing things one after the other. Papaya, guava, cherry, mango. So it comes as a list. So here again you make use of a comma. Situation number 3, listing coordinating adjectives. Now coordinating adjectives means you are using one or more adjectives, but all those adjectives would be belonging to the same subject. Now look at the example. Her long, beautiful hair swayed in the wind. So this is all about the hair of a girl. It is long, it is beautiful. So 2 adjectives, long and beautiful, both these adjectives are used for the same girl. So that is why we call it as connected adjectives. So her long, beautiful hair swayed in the wind. So in between these 2 adjectives, you are giving a comma. After long, you are giving a comma. The fourth situation is to separate 2 independent clauses. Her fever is not gone, but she can go for shopping. So 2 separate clauses. The fifth one is to separate expressions in a sentence. So within the same sentence, you are separating expressions. Now say the famous musician, comma, Mozart, comma, is known for his symphonies. So you are separating expressions within the very same sentence. Now the last one is to set off a quote from the rest of the sentence. According to Gandhi, and now you are going to describe the quotation. So before that, you will be using a comma. According to Gandhi, comma, humanity is an ocean. Now see, some examples given in your textbook looks a little bit complex, so I have actually cut it down to make it simple for you. So according to Gandhi, comma, humanity is an ocean. Now if you look at the different punctuation marks, the maximum number of situations are given with comma. 6 different situations. From now on, when we go through semicolon, colon, etc., you will be having only 3 or 4 situations mentioned in your text. So this is the most difficult one if you feel any kind of difficulty. So just to make it more simple, just remember these terms: INACSQ. INACSQ will give you all the 6 situations in which a comma is used. I stands for an introductory word, N stands for listing nouns. A stands for adjectives, coordinating adjectives. Then CSQ. Now C stands for separate clauses, S stands for separate expression, and finally Q is to set off a quotation from the rest of the sentence. So just remember this INACSQ. So if you remember this term INACSQ, it becomes easier for you to remember the 6 situations in connection with a comma. So now let us move on to the next one, semicolon. Now, a semicolon is considered as something which is stronger than a comma but weaker than a full stop. So this is how it is described. So you have got only 4 different situations here. Now the first one is to combine two closely related clauses, which means they would be connected with each other but they would be separate. I know your father, he was very close with me. So both the lines or both the clauses, they are about the father. I know your father, and then comes a semicolon, he was very close with me. The second situation, to separate items in a list. Now don't get confused, in the previous one, in comma, the second point was to list the nouns. Now here it is to separate items within a list. So here again there is a list. But within this list, the difference here is that within the list itself, you are separating it into 2 parts. So look at the example. The technical assistance with classroom teaching includes projector, a favorite of yesteryears. So you are separating it. What teachers in the earlier generation liked and what the new modern teachers like. So that separation is coming within the same list, and that is why we use a semicolon. But in the previous one with comma, the second situation, it was just listing the nouns. There is no separation given within that list. But here within the list there is a separation that is given. Now, situation number 3, a semicolon is sometimes used to replace a period. Now, period is a full stop. So, monsoon sets in Kerala in June. The authorities make necessary preparations. Now, see, after June, you can see there is a semicolon that is used. Now, instead of the semicolon, you can even use a full stop. There is nothing wrong. Monsoon sets in Kerala in June, full stop. The next sentence, the authorities make the preparations. So this is sometimes used to replace a period or a full stop. Now the fourth one, the word however comes after a semicolon. It is raining, semicolon, however I am planning to go. So these are the 4 situations in which you can make use of a semicolon. So moving on to the next punctuation mark, that is a colon. So there are just 3 situations mentioned here in your text. Now the first one is to separate 2 independent clauses. I just landed in Dubai, the land of my dreams. So they are 2 separate clauses but 2 independent clauses. Now the next one is when you start a list of items. So it's just the beginning, you are stating the list. I need the following books, and the list goes on. Harry Potter, Satanic Verses, The God of Small Things, or many books which runs in the same way. Now, situation number 3 is to introduce an independent quote. Hitler asked men to fight. And then comes the quotation, war is to man what maternity is to woman. So you are separating this quote, you are introducing an independent quote. So these are the 3 situations in which a colon is used, but I am reminding you again that you cannot confine the complexity of a language within 4 or 5 situations, but this is just to give you a basic knowledge on how punctuations can be used. So moving on to the next one, this is double quotation mark. Now this is used when you pick something directly from the source. So the first situation is to set aside someone else's ideas from yours. Tolstoy's War and Peace can be considered as a writing on human nature. So War and Peace is not something that you have written, it is someone else's work, and that is why you have taken it from. another person, and that is why you are making use of the double quotation mark. Now, suppose I'm going to talk about electromagnetism. I'm going to define electromagnetism in terms of a scientist. So definitely I'm quoting it from another scientist or a different scientist, and therefore I have to mention that. I will be putting it in double quotation mark. So the second one is to set off titles of essays, short stories, magazines, etc. So E.V. Lucas in his essay Bows discusses the different types of bows. So I'm sure you have studied the essay written by E.V. Lucas. The next one, Ritz's essay Claiming an Education, is about women getting educated. So you can see Bows is the title, the essay written by Lucas. If you look at Claiming an Education, that again is the speech given by Rich. Now look at the third example. In her essay, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, Laura Mulvey talks about male gaze. So this is again another essay by Mulvey. So visual pleasure and narrative cinema. So to set off titles of essays, books, short stories, magazines, etc., you can again use double quotation mark. So moving on to single quotation mark. Now single quotation mark is used to introduce a new word. Sometimes this can be a technical term. The word male gaze is derived from Mulvey's essay. So you're introducing a new word, or sometimes the term feminism emerged during the 1960s or 1930s or whatever it may be. Now, the second situation is to show a quote within a quote. Now, see this. The term economy derives from the Greek word, says Roderick. So, the entire sentence is said by Roderick. So, that itself is in quotation. And within that quoted sentence, you are emphasizing the term economy, and that is why you have given a single quotation mark for economy, while the entire sentence is given the double quotation mark. So moving on to the next one, this is apostrophe. Now this is rather very simple because apostrophe is used as a contraction. Now see, they have verified all my certificates. So just you are contracting it and making it as they have. You have missed HA. So instead you are using it as they apostrophe VE. So they have verified all my certificates. Again, for do not, we sometimes use don't. But in academic writing, this is not at all encouraged. So remember, whenever you are writing an assignment or a project or a seminar report, please do not use these contracted forms. It is not encouraged and entertained in academic writing. Now the second situation is an apostrophe is used to show possession. Rahul's car is a new one. So you're talking about the car of Rahul, which is again a possession. Sita's home is close to the farm. So that is about the home of Sita, and that is why you are using an apostrophe. But at the same time, another term or another term which can be used for possession like mine, his, yours, hers, etc., an apostrophe is not required. This is when you say this car is mine or this pen is yours, there is no need for an apostrophe. Now the last point is this is used to show the plural of numbers, letters or symbols. Now see, there are 5 C's in his house name. There are 5 K's, there are 10 Y's, etc. So here again apostrophe is used. Then replace all mays with cans in your assignment. So mays means the number of times the term may is written. That is why you are using an apostrophe here, mays, with cans in your assignment. So the number of times that you are going to replace may with can. So these are the 3 situations in which an apostrophe can be used. So with this, we come to the end of the first part because too much of punctuation marks will definitely put you to boredom. So we would be continuing with the remaining 6 punctuation marks in the next video lecture. So thank you very much for your patient listening. If you have got any queries, suggestions, or if you need more assistance, please do not hesitate to connect with me in my email ID. So thank you very much. Thank you.